Jinna Sadguru Purkha na petio, that is those which are not on the path. And what is their destiny? What happens? Oye fir joon bhawaiye. And that is the biggest message that Gurbani is trying to give you, that if you want to live the life of the sensual pleasures, there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly okay. If that's what you want to do, just understand that that will keep you in the cycle of life and death. Being born again, die again, born again, die again. That cycle will continue along with these pains and pleasures. So long as you are okay with that, then so be it. It is those who say, no wait, I want a state of existence, a state of being where there is only bliss. There is no pain. There is no defeat. There is nothing negative. I want to get to that stage. When that desire develops, when that urge comes from within, that's why Buddha used to say, it is not Manuk that is born, it's not the man who's born, it is the Tuk that's born. Why? Because, his way of looking at the life was, life is a series of pains separated by few pleasures. That's, people can say it is a glass half empty, half full kind of thing. You can say life is a string of pleasures separated by few pains. Well, but the issue is that the pains are there. They don't disappear, no matter what you do. So long as you are in that physical mind-body system, you will experience both. Senses will feel both. And those who have decided no more pain, no more frustrations, then the issue is you cannot get rid of it just by making your senses dull. You cannot achieve it by suppressing something. You cannot achieve it by escaping from some responsibilities. You can truly achieve it by actually transcending both of them. And those who get on that path, then Sadgur Purkh Amritsar Vadbhagi Nave Aaye, Une Janam Janam Ki Mail Utare Nirmal Naam Dirdaye. Then they get on that path. Dirdaye means to remember it. Pakka kar lena. Jan Nanak Uttam Pad Paya Sadgur Ki Liv Laye. Then the live means the mind-body system is actually completely immersed in the spiritual journey. Now those who are on that path, what is their daily routine? How they spend their life? And that's what the next hymn comes and say, Gun Gawa, Gun Vithra, Gun Boli Meri Mai. That's basically it. That every moment that I am breathing, I am in the memory of that ultimate creator, Gun Gawa. I am in his praise, Gun Vithra. I am thinking and expanding and understanding his creation and his creativity. Gun Boli Meri Mai. I only talk about and discuss one subject. Now that's an amazing revolution in the life of a human being. That you would not want to talk about anything else. You would not want to discuss anything else. You would not want to indulge into any kind of analysis other than the analysis of the creator and the creative energy and creativity. But that's what happens. Unless until you can be that dedicated, the achievement of that goal is not possible. गुण गावा गुण विथरा गुण बोली मेरी माए गुरमुख सज्जन गुण कार्या मिल सज्जन हर गुण गाए. Not only that I personally am in this, Gurmukh Sajjan Gun Karya Mil. So I look for the company also of those who are actually of the similar bent of mind. I mean, it's obvious. If you want to play cards, you're going to look for the people who play cards. If you want to drink, you're going to look for the people who drink. So if you want to stay immersed in that thought process all the time, you're going to have to seek the company of those who also would not say, come on, would you talk something else? 24 hours the same thing. Don't you get bored? Don't you get tired of the same thing again and again and again? We heard you. Let's do something else. Now when those who say let's do something else, the one who's on the path will immediately withdraw. Will not condemn, will not be in judgment, will not argue or fight or discuss, will just withdraw. Why? Because neither is good nor is bad. You just made a choice that you want to stay in that state of being all the time. It doesn't make you any holier than the other. See, that's the key in the spiritual pursuit. If the spiritualist thinks that he or she is holy, then the ego has come in. And the whole of the effort is gone waste. The moment you become conscientious of the fact, hey, I am holy, right? I am on the spiritual path and they are not. I am mystical and they are physical. You lost it. Immediately lost it. That is the biggest trap of the human mind. Even when it achieves something, it immediately starts saying, great job. You did it. You don't get angry anymore. You don't get upset anymore. You don't get greedy anymore. Great. How great. Look at these people. And there, all of the effort has been destroyed. So, those who stay on that path, they look for the company. Gurmukh Sajjan Gun Karya Mil Sajjan Har Gun Gaye. Look for those who also have the same type of attraction, same bent of mind, and if it isn't, they just quietly withdraw. Hire Heer Mil Bedya Rang Chalule Nae. Because both of the one who is seeking and the one who is sporting, they are of the same mind, they are of the same color. Hire Heer Mil. The both are trying to get where? Rang Chalule Nae. The name. Uska rang chadana chahte hai sare. Not the words. You don't want to be affected and impacted by the worldly hues and colors and shades, but want to be actually immersed in the mystical and spiritual hues and shades. Mere Govinda Gun Gawa Tripat Man Hoye. Now that is the key. A beautiful metaphor to bear in mind. In a spiritual journey, everything has to do with the inner, not with the outer. So it says, Mere Govinda Gun Gawa Tripat Man Hoye. Not the tan, not the body, the mind. The inner being. It is the inner being that keeps on getting quieter and quieter and integrated and crystallized more and more and more. It's the inner being. If the inner is not crystallized, which is what most of the time I have observed, that the people who go into the yoga or asanas and all that, they feel very good physically because it's a kind of exercise. But then, once you are relaxed, you go to sleep or you enjoy that relaxation, inner journey remains exactly the way it is. No peace of mind, no control of the ego or arrogance or the greed or any one of those maladies. Unless that change takes place, spiritual discipline is useless. All kriya karam, all ritualistic aspects become useless unless, it doesn't matter what you're doing. I mean, there is a Raji was showing me an article just about the idol worship, and the whole of the emphasis is that the idol is only a reminder of the higher one. So in the beginning, we need something to remind us of a higher being. So now the question is, if you are using the idol to remind you of the higher, which is the objective, if you can go beyond the stone and beyond the thing and actually be able to show that any crutch is okay. The fire can remind you of something, then fire is okay. But if the fire becomes the end all and be all, you lost the whole game. Why? Because there is no change inside. And Gurbani says, Mere Govinda gun gawa tripat man hoye. The whole game is of the mind, the thought process. How that once it is completely disintegrated and running in 20,000 different directions, can it come back to a single point? If that happens, Antar pyas har naam ki gur tus milave soe. It is the inner thirst. And what would be that thirst then? Har naam ki. Meaning thereby, I'm trying to get to that state of existence where there is no dukh, there is no sukh, there is no pain, there is no pleasure. It is just being blissfully. Man rango vadabhagi ho gur tukta kare pasao. Now the Gurbani is trying to give us the assurance. It says, if you can get where? Manarango. If your mind achieves that state, have faith in the fact that Gur Tutta Kare Pasao, that he would definitely grace you. His benediction will come if you make that effort where the mind is coming inward rather than going outward. If you do that, have confidence that that effort would not be wasted. Gur naam dardaye rang syo ho satgur kay bal jao, bin satgur har naam na labbai lakh koti karam kamao. With his grace, you will get to this state. Which one? Gur naam dardaye rang syo. Dardaye. Pakka karwa dena, yaad karwa dena. Meaning what? Now, we all have gone through the education system. The students sit in the class and the teacher will give the lesson where, and he will say, okay, tomorrow when you come back, remember it. Memorize it. Well, what happens to the student? They go, they start playing, and then next morning they come. Do you remember? Did you memorize? No. And that's the difference between a master and a disciple and a teacher and a student. Teacher will put the responsibility on the student and say, go remember it, memorize it. Whereas a master will make you sit down and say, do it now, right now. You are not going home till you remember it. वो दृढ़ा के भेजता है, पक्का करवा के भेजता है. Disciple is as much vested in the master as the master is vested in the disciple. Whereas in a modern education system, that's not the case. Teacher wants his salary, and he has come and he's done his job. I mean, he gave the lesson and he made the notes on the board. His rest is up to the student whether he gets it or not, whether he works hard or not. And those who work hard, those who take responsibility on themselves, the teacher grade them properly and say, you have passed the class. The others, they fail and send home. But that doesn't work in the relationship of a master and a disciple. Because if the disciple fails, the master has also failed. That is why in a master-disciple relationship, you cannot just walk in and say, please accept me as a disciple. Master will choose, make a decision whether you are capable of being the disciple or not. But once accepted, then he will make sure that you succeed. And that's what the word Vithra means. That once you are on that path, you will come in contact. The nature will send you that level of a master who will actually do what? Guru Naam Vithra. Pakka karwa dega. Now you cannot forget it. How Sadgur ke bal jao. You surrender to that Sadgur. Bal jao. You give it totally. Bin Satgur har naam na labbai lakh koti karma kamao. Whereas there is a assurance that if you go on the path properly, there is also a denial on the other side, which is you can stay in all the rituals of life if you want, without the changing of the mind, without getting to that stage, you will not achieve anything. Bin Sadgur har naam na labbai. It's not possible. Lakh koti karma kamao. You can do as many rituals as you want. It is not going to succeed. It has not succeeded so far in the history of consciousness. It's not going to succeed now. Bin bhaga satgur na mile kar baithe nikat nitapas. Bin bhaga. Now this is normally not interpreted the way I see it. Bhag does not mean kismat or destiny. Bhag means the choices. The choices that you make. Bhag karna hota vandana. The choices are individual choices. And you make the choices in life. So if you don't make the right choice, then you are not going to get to the right path. It's a very common sense thing. So you have to conscientiously make the choice for the spiritual journey. Nobody can force you. There is not going to be any miracle. God is not going to come down and say, you need to do this. That's the difference between God and a guru. Just as a father will tell that child, do this or not do this. But God won't.
So does that mean that Kismat is not a word in Brahmgyani's vocabulary?
It is not. Because the connotation in the word Kismat is that somebody is writing your destiny. Gurbani doesn't believe that. You are writing your destiny by your choices. Whatever you are choosing. That is why Gurbani started with the very first statement, Hukam Razai Chalana. What hukum? And immediately answered, Nanak likhya naal. Nobody is writing it, it's inside you. With every human being, what is your path is already in there. Now you may listen to it, you may not. You may pay attention to that message or you may ignore it. But it's there. Only today in the office I was talking to one of the, she's from Brazil and she has seen some shamans and mystics from those, and so out of nowhere she came to my office and said, every time I see you, you remind me of so and so. I was a Brazilian meditator. So I am not related in any which way, but no, I just tell me, you delve in metaphysics and spirituality? I said, yeah. And she said, well, I was talking to my husband and he told me that you should confirm your doubt. Ask him today. So I had the courage to ask him. So, and one thing led to the other, and I was basically sharing with her, when does a human mind-body system get on something other than physical? And I just related it with her. If you look at the human body's form and what it does normally, look at its cycle, get up in the morning, eating something, going to work, coming back, eating something, sleeping, breeding, reproducing, raising children, and the same cycle continues. And he said, yeah, that's what mostly we do. And I said, well, then let's pick up any animal in the animal kingdom or bird kingdom and see what they do, what's their life cycle. And when I started walking her through it, don't they get up in the morning and don't they go during the day and collect food? Yeah. And don't they come back and feed their children? Yeah. Don't they reproduce and multiply? Yeah. So I said, now tell me what's the difference between the two? And literally she was standing up and she was straight and I said, you mean to tell me I'm living the life of a dog? Then I'm not telling you, I'm asking you. Say within yourself. When that question is asked and the answer becomes obvious, that the dog and a cat has an excuse to live the way they are living because they have no other choice. What are your excuses? You certainly wake up to something other possibility. It's only till we ask that question. And I have heard that discussed in my own household in Punjab. They say, "Hor hai vi ki hai, jamme hai, bache parange, marange, mar jawange." That's it. Just be born, grow up, reproduce, take care of them, suffer a little bit, and then go back. And that isn't what the life is about. Not human form. Others may be, but not human body. And you make that choice conscientiously. And it's not kismat. Because it is given to every one of us. That potential is there in everyone. Regardless of the caste, the creed, the sex, age, nothing matters. Everybody has that potential. Make the choice. Take the step. Don't just talk about it. Don't just discuss it. Don't just argue about it. Don't try to find a perfect process. Just get going. And that's what here it says, Bin bhaga sadgur na bide. Without you make that choice, going on that path, the nature is not going to come and help you. Nature will only help you if that you take that first step. If you make that choice. भाग कीते हुए ऐ भी हो सकता है, ऐ भी हो सकता है, वनडे हुए ਕੀ ਵੰਡੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਨੇ choices. You can do this, you can do that, you can do that, you can do that. Make a choice.
Earlier we did say that when one is born, everything is given at that time, provided and given. Isn't that bhag, kismat?
No.
Of course, choices. Of course, you're gonna make choices. We're gonna make choices.
And that's a beautiful question. Actually, I'm glad you took me back there. What is given to you was determined based on your choices made earlier.
Previously.
It's a cycle. Whatever choices I am making now, when I'm going to take the other birth, then all of these choices are going to be taken into consideration. You did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. Based on that,
And then we have choices, further
choices. And that's the whole point. When we're talking of Japji, karmi aave kapada. Karam, choices. Change karam bhi, na change karam bhi, maade karam bhi, neutral bhi, jo bhi karam hai. All they can do is give you a potential for another life. Now, if you make a choice and say, I don't want another life, then all of your choices are going to change. Right? Now, most of the choices are, how do I get more of this? Whatever that is. I want more of that. Whether it's more of the wealth, whether it's more of the fame, whether it's more of the possessions, the whole choices are driven by that. I want to get more of this. More of experience. Just as Raji was telling me that your son is now going to India. If you ask him, why are you going to India? What do you think his response is going to be? It's a different experience, Dad. It's a different opportunity. Right? It's a much better, much greater potential because I will be traveling and I will be seeing and I will be dealing with two different governments and politics and all of that. It's a growth opportunity. So, more of what I got now, I just want to add more and more and more and more. When you get on this path, it's going to reverse. Because now you want less and less and less and less of all of that.
Right.
And that's where the bhaga comes in. Bin bhaga sadguru na mile, ghar baithiyan nikit nit paas. Now, ghar baithiyan does not mean to stay inside your home. Ghar baithiyan means when the mind is quiet inside the body. Andar baith gaya ka. ਜਦੋਂ ਮਨ ਅੰਦਰ ਬੈਠ ਜਾਏ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਨਿਕਟ ਨਿਤ ਪਾਸ and he's right there provided the mind can sit inside. Right now the mind is running outside and when we close our eyes and say, well, where is the mind? I can't see it. It's all darkness, nothing in there. I close my eye and I don't see anything. Yes, you don't. That's where the whole effort is. A time comes when you close your eyes, there's nothing but light inside. Nothing but light. And you can see inside. You can see through the fog of your greed and your anger and your desires and your attachments and your ego. You can literally see all of them. But see them inside, not out. As a matter of fact, when somebody tells us from outside, we get angry, we get disturbed. But when you see your own anger from yourself, you start laughing. And that's a silly thing. But think about it, how much we are vested in our mind. Think about it, if I break my leg, and I am in the hospital and all of you hear about it, you're going to come to say, hi, how are you doing? We heard you broke your leg. And I'll feel very good because people are coming to express their sympathy. Okay? Well, let's assume that you come to my house and say, we just heard that your mind is sick. You lost your mind. What's going to be the reaction? Now, how is it that when you are inquired me about my body, I felt good, but when you inquired about my mind, I felt insulted? Why is that? Because I don't think I am my body, but I do think I am my mind. I am more vested in my mind than I am vested in my body. Right? Even though we all know we are somewhere along the line, we are psychosomatic, each one of us. We have our psychosis, every one of us. You know, see, idiosyncrasies can, right? What is idiosyncrasies? Everybody has idiosyncrasies. Means what? Everybody has some psychosis. Because to one say, well, I have to sleep on the left side of the bed every night. Well, why? What's wrong with the right side? No, I don't like it. That's sickness of the mind. Side, center, that side means what? But to some it is so important. I couldn't fall asleep all night. Why? Somebody was sleeping in my bed. I was not in my own bed. Sounds familiar?
Very.
These are all psychoses. Because you talk to a 10 years old child and he tells you, are you gone crazy? What's wrong with that? You have become your archy bunker. Remember that archy bunker? He has to sit in his own chair. That's it. I come. Everybody get out of here. This is my chair. I'm going to sit right here. No other chair. That chair, that sofa, that bed. No. This chair.
Why does the dad always think that?
No,
Because
because you give that privilege to him.
Right.
You train him that.
No, sorry.
You
Archie
bring the
Bunker
things
fights.
for that.
Archie Bunker fights.
Because they brought the chair for Archie Bunker only.
So, but if you tell anybody that you have psychosis or your mind is sick, and I sympathize with you,
Respect for the dads.
I have come to express my sympathies, you will have a fight at your hand. Now I don't feel good at all. And the whole journey is about the mind. That's why Bhagat Kabir actually invites. He says, Nindo, Nindo, Moko, Log Nindo. He says, come, find faults with me. Give me the criticism. Don't worry about constructive or destructive. Just give me the criticism. What's wrong with me? Why? Look at the beauty of a mystic, a meditator. He says there are things that I cannot see for myself. My ego can play tricks with me. I might think I am a great saint. But you know whether I behave like a saint or not. So come tell me. So what I am going to do with that? I am going to actually look inside what you told me. Is that true or not? If it is true, then what's going to happen? Ninda hoye ta baikuntha jaiye, naam padarth mane basaiye. You see, when the people critique me, and I find that to be true, I even meditate more stronger to get that melody out of me. And actually, thank you. Ninda kare so hamra meet. That's my friend. Why? Because ninda kamahe hamra chi. उन्हें मेरे बारे सोचे. No, the negative energy has been turned around to be utilized. He says, Ninda janko khari pyari, Ninda baap, Ninda mehtari. Ninda maa baap hai. Why? He says, just as when male and female meet and the result is something beautiful, an offspring comes out of it. Similarly, when the negative energy and the bhagat meet, something beautiful comes out of it, which is either he meditates stronger or he checks, oh, okay, I am still safe from that problem. He verifies. Somebody is calling me a thief. I look inside. Am I a thief? No, I'm not a thief. Thank you for giving me the chance to check it, to validate it. So the negative energy turns around. A meditator is the only one who can take the negative energy and turn it around. A non-meditator will take the negative energy and give rise to another negative energy to respond back. How dare you? And that comes from where? When the mind sits inside. You see from inside. बिन भागा सतगुरु नाम मिले घर बैठे हैं निकट ने तपास. It is always inside, close. And so long as it is the other way around, which is अंतर अज्ञान दुख भरम है, which पर्दा दूर पयास. If you have not understood this, then what is? He said there is a barrier now. Of what? Ignorance. And what happens? He said when there is a barrier, it appears that, oh my God, Paramatma kithe hai? How far away from he is from us? I can't reach him. That's too great, too far away, too big for me to ever even attempt. And he says, no, wait, all this is just a barrier. He's right in there. And what is the barrier? Antar agyan, lack of knowledge, lack of awareness. Dukh bharam hai. Bharam da dukh pya hoya hai. Bharam means what? Illusion. Something which is real doesn't appear to be real. What we call mirage. That's bharam. We think the outer is real and the outer is transitory. We think the inner is not there and it is very much there. And that is what is bharam. And that is just a curtain. And that's all. And because of the curtain, it appears to what? Dur payas. Far, far away. Which is an illusion. Bin Satgur bhete kanchananath ye manamukh lo Buddha bedi pas. Without understanding that, you cannot purify yourself. Kanchan means gold. You cannot become gold-like. And then what will happen? It will be as if you have the means to cross the river, but you sink anyway. Manamukh, Buddha means dub gaya. Bedi paas. Bedi kol hundiyan bhi dub gaya. Means what? Have the human body, have the capability to achieve that state, yet spend the life and waste it. That's almost like drowning. सतगुर बोहत हर नाम है कित बिद चढ़िया जाए सतगुर के भाने जो चले विच बहुत बैठा है. Bring back to the first lesson of Gurbani. हुक्म रजाई चलना. सतगुर बोहत हर नाम है. All you need to do is attach yourself with the naam, with the word, with the meditation. And there is no process to this. There is no question about this. It's just, this methodology, that methodology, किसी ने क्या बैठ के करना है, किसी ने क्या उठ के करना है, किसी ने क्या सौ के करना है, किसी ने क्या एने बजे करना है. All that is complete mumbo jumbo. You don't need to that. What should you do? सतगुर के भाने जो चले. Accept the will. Once you come within the will and start making the decision, हुक्म रज़ाई चलना नानक लिखिया ना. Once you start following on that path, which bohit baithaya, he's already inside you and will guide you all the way through. Tan tan vadbhagi nanaka jina satguru lay milai. Those are the blessed ones who eventually get this message and start following it. Yes, sir.
So blessed and lucky, so the difference between the blessed and lucky is?
Lucky has a connotation of saying, oh, जिस तरह किस्मत लिखी है.
Right.
Okay. Blessing means the grace. The prasad has come in. Okay. And you become worthy of the prasad yourself. Karmi aave kapda, nadri mokh dwar. You have to become worthy of the nadar. जे नदर दा पात्र बन गया तो फिर मोक्ष द्वारा खुल जाएगा. So, once you start on that journey, then what happens? See, हम पंथ दसाई नित खड़ी कोई प्रभ दसे तिन जाओ, जिन्नी मेरा प्यारा रावया तिन पीछे लाग फिराओ, कर मिन्नत कर जोतड़ी मैं प्रभ मिलने का चाओ. So then there is only one thought left in the mind-body system, which is how Pantha Dasai, the path, the way. That then seek the way, and it doesn't matter where it comes. Koi prabh se tene jao, from wherever it comes. It basically cuts through all the system, Muslim system, Hindu system, Sikh system, Buddhist system. It cuts through the entire system. It matters not. Whatever is you. That's why I said earlier, don't just sit and analyze the processes. Pick one and go with it. And you will find that that process will take you up to a certain point. And by that time you would have grown enough to see whether this is going to take you any further or it's going to stop. It will automatically find its own way. It's not, just don't stand on the edge of the ocean and keep on discussing the properties of the water. Step inside and start swimming. And you will start finding how the waves are coming and going. You will start learning and developing the muscles and the navigation's path as to how to avoid what. But if you just stand on the corner and keep on talking about how deep it is, how cold it is, how salty it is, etc. Yeah, you can spend the entire life analyzing the properties of anything. Jinni mera pyara raavya tera piche lag firao. Means start following that path. Whose path? Those who have gone ahead of you. Jinni mera pyara raavya. Those who have gone ahead. It doesn't matter who that is, whichever appeals to you. Somebody was asking me the other day, how is it that Buddhism is expanding in the West much faster than any other religion? And you can see why that is. It's not a mystery. Buddhism is one of the rare religions which explains everything of the ad nauseum. They discuss and explain and discuss and explain. It's argumentative. Gyan mara gyan. So then what happens? Western mind feels attracted to it because it's argumentative. You ask any question, they will have an answer for you. Nothing, there is no concept of faith or accept me or whatever. In Buddhism, explanations after explanations after. So that's why West is very much attracted toward that. But in Sikhism, there is a synthesis of the two. There's a middle path. Understand something, then get going.
In Buddhism also, even though they explain, but they get into meditation. They
Yes.
get into,
Yeah, I mean, they have their own practice and their own thing. But they, as I said, they won't just come and sit down and say, okay, start doing this.
they want you to understand.
They want you to understand, and they will keep on explaining till you keep on asking answer questions. They will not shut you up. Whereas Sikhism stays in the middle. It will give you the theory, it will tell you what it is, and then it will step back and say, now go do it. Till you get to a certain stage. When you reach some stumbling block, till that don't come back. So that way the emphasis is both. That's why Gyan Marg and Gyan Khand and Saram Khand ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਨੇ. Gyan Khand ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ Saram Khand. Saram Khand ਵਿੱਚ ਜੇ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲ ਆਈ ਹੈ, go back to the Gyan Khand and just keep on going. And that's all you can do. You cannot get to the Karam Khand. Karam Khand is a grace. So that's the logic of Sikhism. Je mushkil aayi hai, go back to Gyan Khand. If je nahi aayi, stay in the Saram Khand and keep on practicing. Well, how long? Well, till His grace comes. Well, will it come in this lifetime? I can't say. 1 year, 10 years, 20 years. Give me some idea. It could be 10 lives. It is the grace. It's a prasad. Nobody is going to give that. Anybody who gives you that guarantee is a liar. He's a businessman. He's trying to sell you something. On the path of spirituality, there is no guarantee. It's your journey. And only you and your Creator knows when it will end. Nobody else. So, Jinni Mera Pyara Ravya, those who have gone ahead of me, then piche lag firao. Start walking on the same path as they are. That's the wrong translation. Start walking on the same path. Kar minnat kar jodri. Now this is beautiful. Means what? Stay humble. Watch the humility. ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕ ਕੇ ਮਿੰਨਤਾਂ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਣਾ. ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ. Stay humble. Don't let the ego come up because you are now doing this. Stay humble to doing what? Prabhu milne ka chao. If you have that ultimate desire, Jodri means request. Tarla pauna. मेरे भाई जना कोई मोको हर प्रभ मेल मिलाए हाँ सतगुर विटों वारिया जिन हर प्रभ दिया दिखाए. So मेरे भाई Jan is used for the word those who have gone ahead of you, who are already Jan. Moko har prabh mel milaye. Those, because you stay in their company and you do what they do, you also develop the potential of, for what? Moko har prabh mel milaye. Milne ki possibility, develops the possibility. How? How Sadguru Vittu Varya. You surrender your hame. You surrender your ego. And when that happens, Jin har prabh. That process, Jin, Keda, Ham Varya. That surrendering creates the possibility of Har Prabhadiya Milay. That you get to the final destiny. Hoy namani taya pava pure Sadgur paas, namanya gurman hai gur Sadgur kare sabas. Hoy namani taya pava. Nimani means no man, no hankar, no ego. Hoy nimani. The whole emphasis, because the biggest problem on the journey is the ego. So that's why it is reminded and emphasized. Hoy nimani tapava. Surrender completely yourself. Pure Sadgur pass. Who's the Sadgur? The one who has already gone there, who has achieved it. Nimaniya Gurman hai. So those who are without the ego, that's what Satgur accepts. Satgur kare sabas means. Allah Sheri Shabash Deni. What is the English word for that?
Bravo.
Bravo.
Encourage.
Hum Gursala Narajau Mamile Har Prapas. So, what is the encouragement? What is the bravo? Gursala Narajau. Don't stop. Don't ever get tired of this. Don't get ever fed up with this. Narajo. Don't ever feel that you're done and enough is enough. Just continue so that you become capable of or deserving of His grace. Sadguru nu sabko lojda jeta jagat sab koe bin bhagan darshan na thiye bhaghin behroe. Now this is a statement of fact that everybody at certain level wishes to get rid of this painful process. Sadguru nu sabko lojda. Everybody wants it. But they don't make the choices of that type. We want the ultimate bliss, but we also want this. And there is like the conflict, there is like the dichotomy. We insist that we want to live the life of sensual pleasures. While we are doing it, we also then want to get to the blissful state. And Gurbani says that's not going to work. You have to make that choice. And that choice is not consciously made. That's what it is. Sadguru no sabko lojda jeta jagat sab koe. Everybody wants that. But bin bhagan darshan na thiye bhaghin behroe. Without the right choices, it doesn't happen. And then we end up blaming. Well, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੀ ਕਰੇ ਜੀ ਕਿਸਮਤ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੁਣਦਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਅਰਦਾਸਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਐਨੇ ਮੰਦਰ ਕੀਤ ਗਏ ਐਨੇ ਹਵਨ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ ਐਨੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਗਏ then we blame and blame everybody else except us. ਜੋ ਹਵ ਭਾਣਾ ਸੋ ਥਿਆ ਤੁਰ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਨਾ ਮੇਟੇ ਕੋਏ. So this is not something that a human controls. This law is made by who? Jo har prabh pana sothiya. He made that law that if you make these choices, only then it is possible. Nobody can change that. Turulekhiya na mete koi. Nobody can change this. He wrote that law. It is His will that you have to make the right choice. Which one you want to live. So, if Bhagat Kabir made that choice, he got it. But there were a lot at that time who didn't. I mean, we in modern, only last century, we talk so much about Mirabai. She refused to live the life of a sensual being. We all know the story. Parents, the society, everybody, you are a daughter of a king, why you should not live a kingly life? And she said, I'm already married. Who are you married to? Krishna. That's it. I don't want any other husband. I got my husband. And eventually they ended up killing her. Who killed? The husband. Gave her the poison. And what did she say? Krishna has appeared through my husband. And he's asking me to come back to him That's why he has sent the cup of poison. That was it. The husband is handing over the poison, and she's saying, Krishna is calling me back and say, come back. And he's using the body of my husband to give me this message. And she drinks the poison and dies. That choice was much better to her than the other choice. And we don't have such tough decisions. We don't have such tough choices. We have very simple choice, but we don't make. And then we blame somebody. ਭਾਗਹੀਣ ਬਹਿਰੋਏ। और सारे ट्रांसलेटर ने भी ऐसी गल कर दी है जी ट्रांसलेशन की जिन्हों की किस्मत चली है बेटे रोंदे ने। No, it is not. Gurbani is not pessimistic. It is very, very optimistic. It says there is not a single entity on this earth who's Bhaghi. You may choose to be Bhaghi, it's your choice. But you have not been made Bhaghi. You have been given the same choices that is available to everybody. But if you don't want to make those choices, then it's okay. Then you will also, as you sow, so shall you reap.
So I guess the difficulty comes when our past choices put us in a very difficult position relative to the worldly things, and then we long for now we're trying to make the right choice, and that difficulty we have to overcome.
That's right, absolutely right, because the upbringing, traditional upbringing of every one of us reinforce that thought. मेरा राजा बेटा बादशाह बनेगा, ये तो डॉक्टर बनेगा, ये तो वकील बनेगा. आज तक किसी ने कहा मेरा राजा बेटा भक्त बनेगा? I actually ran it. I was sharing this experience on his birthday. A couple came to me and said, oh, Bhai Sahab, we have stopped now coming to your lecture because our 18-year-old son is beginning to like you too much. And we are scared that he may not become a saint. He says, all of a sudden the religion is beginning to make sense to me. And I'm scared. The mother is saying, I'm scared. So we have started coming so that he doesn't come and doesn't listen to you anymore. And I laughed at my heart. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਨਕਲੀ ਮਾਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਲਈ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਥੋੜੇ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਵੀ ਉਤਰਾ That's a fact of life. Is there a parent today who wants their children to be meditators? See, the problem is that the meditation is confused with escapism. And I told her, the couple, I said, I have never, ever espoused that you should leave the world. All I have always said is, change the ways around. Learn to act with the world and the true with God, rather than act with God and true with the world. Just the reverse. Do everything as if you are acting, playing a role. Practice that. Learn how to be a father without feeling that he is my son. Learn to act a father's role, a mother's role, a lover's role, without ever feeling he is my lover. That is the key. And you will only learn that way as long as you are in the world. If you run away from the world, you will never learn the acting. But that's too subtle. 18 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਪਤਾ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ? It's too subtle. He's going to run away. Okay. ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਭੱਜੇ ਨਾ ਭੱਜੇ, ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਚੋ।
He's a lucky one.
Bhaghin. There is no Bhaghin. It is true that we have a nurturing which has created certain mental blocks for us, which we have to now, as you said, fight against. No question about it. But those were necessary at that time, though. Like a little plant, need to be protected from the birds and the animals, and nowadays it's cold, they cover the little plant with a sheet. And as a plant grows up, then they don't put any sheet on that. It can stand the cold temperature now. In the Indian literature and Indian culture, बच्चा जवान हो गया, the definition ये सी. What do you mean जवान हो गया? जिहड़ी modern definition है बच्चा जवान हो गया, कुड़ी जवान हो गई, मुंडा जवान हो गया. That was not how the Indian culture grew up. The child is of the age means now he can be told the truth. He is capable of absorbing it. Start telling him the truth. Start preparing him for the life. Rite of passage means what? Now he can change the direction from what he is used to. That's why it was called rite of passage. ਹੁਣ ਇਸਦਾ ਰਸਤਾ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ. Now he can stand the truth that you are really not the prettiest of all or the smartest of all of them. There are a lot more others. You're going to face that now. And you're going to be competing against intellects like you, beauties like you. Now they can be told the truth. It is only our own folly that we have turned the definition, bacha jwan ho gaya means what? They can reproduce now. So let's find them a mate. That's not the definition of coming of age. Absolutely not. It is to sit the child down and give the truth about the life, the mortality, and the God, and the nature, and the creation, and the creativity. It's the time now to have that discussion. That's what is the problem, that no parents ever sit down with the child and say, today you are going to know the real facts of life. Up till now I have been saying, मेरा बच्चा सारे तो सोना है, सारे तो सियाना है, smart है. He can do whatever he wants, which is why all the time. You can achieve anything you want. Put your mind to it, you can achieve it. And then he goes to the class, and he's an artistic mind, and the teachers throw the science book at him, and he fails miserably. And then he comes home with C grade, and now the mom is angry. Father is angry. We are fighting a losing battle because it's a battle against the nature. We never sit down with the child and say, okay, if your mind doesn't absorb science, what does it absorb? We never sit down in that. I still remember one of my friends, his son did become a doctor finally. And he used to talk to my son and say, you are so lucky that your father doesn't put pressure on you. My father wouldn't hear anything other than the doctor. And I hate medical sciences. He went to the medical sciences. He became a doctor. But completely against his own will, against his own desire. But father had only one career in mind. Both sons and the daughter, all three children, ended up in the medical field. He himself was in a medical field, his wife was in a medical field, but he wants the children to be in a medical field. Whether they were capable, liking or not, it didn't matter to him. We are, and I'm just building on your thought, that we are that victim of that nurturing, which is counter to nature. And nature says, when the human mind body system grows up to a level where it can really absorb the truth, then don't hide it. Give the truth. Now the evolutionary stage is possible, which is what Guru Nanak did, right? When the father is trying to put him on the path of the material world, he is giving the lesson on the other world. What's the matter with you? Guru Nanak took that responsibility in his own self, that he started actually telling the father, this is all worldly things. What about some long-term investment? This $20 will only buy this. What about some long-term investment? And that is what we need to do with our offspring. And that's, if we don't, then what happens? Bin bhagan darshan na thiye pag bin bhaghin beh roye फिर वही बेके रोंगे जी साड़ी किस्मत इस तरह दी की करिए करने की कोशिश करते हैं पर हुंदा ही नहीं जो हर भा प्रभ पाना जो दिया तुर लिखया ना मीठे कोई. This is a eternal law. Nobody is going to be able to change it. आपे सतगुर आप हर आपे मेल मिलाए आपे दया कर मेल सी गुर सतगुर पिछे पाए सब जग जीवन जग आप है नानक जल जले समाए. Understand that this is his process. आपे सतगुर आप हर आपे मेल मिलाए. This is his design. He did it that way. It's not a human creation. He's the one who would make it possible for you to get to that ultimate stage. You just need to make the right choice. Aap daya kar mel si. He is the complete, graceful, and of all of the grace. And you just start following the path. Sadgur piche paaye. Sab jag jeevan jag aap hai. Nanak jal jale samaye. The whole of the creation is under that eternal law. If you follow that process, then you will also be like the drop falling into the ocean. Jal jale samaye. Pani pani which mil jayega. Provided you make the right choices. So that's the 68th hymn. So we will take a pause here and open for any further discussions.
You know, the trouble with sharing maybe the knowledge you may be talking, but if you haven't experienced something yourself, how can you give it to somebody else? In other words,
what we are talking about is that we train our children for social lives. And we know that.
That is the conditioning done by the society or whatever.
No, but we are that part of that society.
Yes.
We can't deny that responsibility from ourselves. That we are part of that drama. And this is how the life goes on. You have to tell a lie. Okay. Now we don't even admit that.
That's because we haven't understood the truth yet.
No, we do.
No.
ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਕਹਿ ਦੇ ਬਾਪੂ ਘਰ ਨਹੀਂ. Don't we understand that?
No, I'm not
I mean,
talking.
I don't want to talk to somebody. Phone rings and say, well, I'm not home. So he picks up the phone and says, Daddy's not home. Right? I mean, that's just a simplified example of what I'm saying is the mortality of life.
But even there,
Do we ever expose the children to the mortality of life?
because I think to a certain extent we are also nashaming the wrong things.
See,
So
we are also not facing the
ourselves.
mortality,
Yeah.
hence the children are not facing the
फिर हम क्या
I mean,
करें?
I still remember that I was very young, and when a grandparent died, and I wanted to go with the family to the mortuary, and they won't let me go. I was not allowed. And till today, I wondered as to why is that. बच्चे का काम नहीं.
Yeah, that's what they say. बच्चों को नहीं जाना.
ये बच्चे ने काम नहीं है जाओ बच्चों के दौड़े this is not it.
I think they feel you get scared as a child.
But isn't that a reality?
Yeah, it is.
Why not to let,
But that depends on the age. See,
and that's what I'm talking about, the
And-
coming of age.
So when it comes of age, then say, okay, now
That,
can
then
go.
you should
ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ
See,
ਬੁੱਧਾ ਘਬਰਾ
you see-
ਗਏ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ old
right. See now,
Same.
he was 18 years, no 21, 18 he was married, and he had a 18-month child. When he was turned 21, that's when he was brought out, and he had seen all these things for the first time. A murjhaya phul, a buzurg went and a dead body, and all three things basically threw him completely for the loop. Never faced the reality, mortality of life. So what the question basically was, well, how do you go from this conditioning? And I'm saying it is pretty much responsibility of us as parents and you as children, both.
I think it's an individual journey because we are also trapped in the same cage, and this attachment do not let you get out of that cage. You can open the cage, still it's going to be.
And that's what his question was. Why it isn't? Because we are conditioned that way.
When the time comes, your effort, your journey is going to be complete only with your own effort.
In the final analysis, you are absolutely right, because this is a completely your own effort. But the motivation and all of the doubts and the illusions and that you get from the Sangat, that you get from outside. And that's what today's talk was, that you seek the company, seek the counsel of those who are, because that's where you will get encouragement, that's where you will get motivation, that's where you get some of your questions, doubts answered, or even difficulties. If I was to sit down with you and say, भाई साहब देखो मैं भी थोड़े कोल बैठा साथे भी मेरे गोडे दर्द होने लग पे, you will come back and say, well, and एक देर बाद ऐसा कर रहे थे मेरे को भी होता सी तरह, या मेरा mind wander कर गया, what should I do? How do you do that? Okay. That's what the Sangat ends up being your support system.
So it's also that the other lesson, I guess, in today's message was about the choices.
Choices.
So to learn, so the choices at the younger age may be different than the choices at when that tree has grown.
Yeah.
And so that path could be different now.
Yes. And that can be a choice. I mean, this tarah, were you here last time? No, you weren't here. Now, last time another gentleman visited us. Now, he is very much into Simran and Naam Japna. As a matter of fact, he has his own organizations and they teach the breathing and all of that. And the family he was living with here has two sons. They both ended up marrying American girls. Both have children. And they resented so much of that path, and that talk, or that type of environment in their home, that it became a major difficulty in their homes, and eventually he had to leave the home because the grandparents just could not participate in the raising of their grandchildren the way they wanted to. While he was there, he would influence the children, the grandchildren also. And the boys didn't want themselves to be influenced by him, nor they wanted their offspring to be influenced by him.
Did it Detroit?
Detroit.
Acha.
And I seen that with my own eyes, that family unit eventually fell apart. They were living together with the parents. Eventually they left the parents and rented apartments, and the parents sold the home and ended up moving out also because children didn't want to participate in parents' journey. They didn't want their own children to be impacted by their journey. So certain distance developed. It's a choice. They made a very conscious choice. This is not for me. We don't want it.
Do the children follow the sick path or they not at all?
No.
They don't follow any path. It's all mumbo jumbo. खाओ पियो करो आनंद खसमानो खाओगे परमानंद उन्होंने सवेरे उठ के वाहेगुरु जपना उन्होंने सवेरे उठ के सॉसेज भुरनियां शुरू कर देनी ब्रेकफास्ट बना रहे हैं जी eggs bacon and sausages with the breakfast in the morning and they are sitting down having a similar
Is that wrong?
no but they would do it exactly when they would start.
Interferes. When you're raising, children, you keep telling them you're smart, you can do anything you want, you can do, make it. And then they come of age, then you tell them, no, you're not really that smart.
But they know that, don't they?
It's very difficult.
No, but when they go to the class, the very first day a child goes to the class, doesn't the child find that there are others around me?
But he does feel encouraged when he comes home. You tell them that you're smart, you can do it. You
Right.
encourage him.
So,
They do.
now when he comes of age, when he can see the truth and swallow the truth, now you can say, now you've seen it, isn't that a fact? So don't hold on to that, literally.
थोड़ा कोई यूपीएस का कोई समान बार पे है
Right. Okay, thank you.
So, that's what we call having adult conversations.
But
rather
it's not
than-
necessary that they will only understand that at age 18. They may.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just
Whenever
coming
they
up.
come of age.
Whenever
they
they
were
come of
samajhdar ho gaye.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
You will find a 5 years old who's
Yeah.
mature than the 17 years old, and I can show you 80 years old who are lesser than 5 years old.
Right.
I will lie, I don't know. That's a hard game.
Oh. Late, it was not there till 8 o'clock.
कोई रख गया.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Huh?
I think my 3-year-old granddaughter is already afraid.
Hello,
You
sir,
can
thank
tell
you.
her and tell her
No,
whatever is the
yeah.
truth.
But you don't tell her the truth.
So what do you think? You haven't said anything.
You are not telling her the truth.
I agree with a lot of things
Mm.
that you make choices. Ultimately, you have to make the choice.
Sadi Bhakti ji.
Yeah, I even had the choice.
Yeah.
It's really a choice, though. Like you said,
No,
it's more a
again, what he
technique,
just
I
said.
think,
To learn to live,
to act and yes, be inside, be close to God. So remember you said. So it's like, I mean,
You
would
don't
I
die.
choose not to do that? I wouldn't. Or would anyone?
Yeah.
People would learn.
People
Everything that you do is a choice, is it not?
see
I
when
know,
Or
but
everything
it's
you
not my
don't do is a
time.
choice. Either way, look at it.
Yeah. Well, it's
If you choose not to do something, that's a choice. And if you choose to do something, that's a choice.
yeah.
So now the question is, what kind of a choice it is?
But to live a sensual life of the life of sensual pleasures and
That's a
not
choice.
be close to God. I mean, do you actually say, okay, I don't need that path? And, I mean, that way. It's
You can learn to live in such a way that you are playing a role in the world,
Right. That's what I was thinking.
or you can make a choice to live in the world as if you are really living in the world. It's not acting anymore. It's a choice.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm thinking if somebody is aware of God's love or that there's a path to it, I wonder if they would ever say, nah, I'll just live the sensual life. So people who are living that's probably not aware or haven't listened to you or haven't come close to God.
No, that's why we today got reminded that everybody at certain level has that inner urge, I need something better than this, something higher than this. They just don't make the choice.
So when they feel that though,
And when
they
that urge
automatically
comes that he was saying, then you start moving away from the life being
Right.
only,
Then what happens? When that urge comes, you suddenly find out, well, those who got there, how did they get there?
Right.
And then you
So-
suddenly find out again from their life pattern, well, they were not chasing this as what I am chasing.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. If you don't get the urge, that means you're kind of, I don't know, the word blind or whatever. Then you don't really know, you're not even making a choice. You're kind of flowing, right?
So
And
long
the
as you
people
are,
who get the urge, it's not
Yeah.
even a choice. You're automatically drawn to that. And then you need techniques like
yeah,
the understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if somebody actually makes a choice. I was just trying to understand.
So you are saying that if somebody is ignorant, how would they make a choice?
Right.
That's your question.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying to you is that there is a built-in mechanism in every human body that it has a nagging awareness of something better, something higher. It just does not pay attention to that nag. It is there all the time.
I could think of a lot of people who probably
They just ignore
really
it.
aware of the same. Really living the same.
Because
life.
everyone, as right from the early childhood, the people start going to whatever the religious practices they are. They take their children, and the children hear those discussions and things.
But
They make a choice to consider this as a just mumbo jumbo and not pay attention to it, not ignore it. Just as I gave you the example, here are grown up, married, with children, who are conscientiously saying, this is all mumbo jumbo, leave us alone. Don't bother us and don't try to influence our children also. We don't want to raise them like this. They told the grandmother, they told the grandfather, we don't want our children to be impacted. Just as I shared with you that this couple who was very regular in all of the visits to Gurdwara suddenly disappeared, and I met them at his birthday. It was last Friday, and I saw them and said, what happened to you guys? And well, we have drawn back, and here's the truth. Our older son is beginning to like.
Didn't really understand.
So at least there's a comfort in this that the choices we make, we are put on that path. We all made a choice, and so that's why we are here.
Right.
So that child made a choice, and he was starting to go on that path.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, to his parents, that choice was not the right choice.
Right.
And so they
made the choice
They made the choice and
to pull him back from there.
So now what?
So I guess the thing then is that the other way to look at your question, that people may not be aware of the choice. It could be the fact that they have taken that route so deep into that system. They have gotten so far away that they keep making choices in the other direction.
Exactly.
And keep going in the so maybe there is a mechanism inside which will trigger them back. Maybe it'll be a setback at
They
some
didn't
point.
quite understand.
Yeah.
They didn't quite understand.
Right, that's kind of where I
Obviously.
was going. It's almost like you're kind of drawn to that somehow, and I was wondering if that came from choices we made last birth. Is that why I'm here today? I mean, just that there's certain things happen to put me on this.
Then the nature
path
comes back in a different way.
That's nature.
Yeah.
so-
Nature comes back in a different way to
But nature
give you a
does.
reminder again. And it happens to everybody in life.
But their son
But
is
nature's
18 years
God, right?
old and they are thinking that he should not be on this path.
Because they want him to get a profession. And
Yeah, they wanted him to
live
become-
in this society
Yeah.
and वो
Fine.
क्या करेगा?
do the education we are trying to give you, become the profession we are trying to make you. and
But
all.
if he is interested in this,
Sooner or later,
he will keep on seeking it
Yeah.
here, there, or wherever,
Hopefully.
and he will most likely he would
whatever his destiny is.
come
But
back.
the parents are frightened. He
There's no
cannot
distance.
play the role in the
Parents
world.
When I
are
say
the ones
destiny,
who are missing out there.
where are the path leads?
It's not only them. It's story with
I
all
think
of us.
sometimes
As
people
much
make
as
their
we
own
understand
paths
the
too.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
I was
there's
gonna
nothing
say
wrong in
that.
We-
That's-
you know,
freedom also,
like,
because sometimes
we
religion
understand
may
how still
set boundaries on
when
you.
children are
Yeah.
growing up, you really-
Because like we say, okay, we have 10,000 religions here.
all of us.
The guy said, why we have 10,000 religions? There is one God. Why we call Hinduism, Sikhism, and Muslim and all
Right,
that?
right.
Kids get confused.
So
Yeah.
confused also.
And we know about it now, but as a child I didn't know why there's so many religions.
He said,
And everybody says ours is better than others, so that's another problem.
she's
But
I mean, you
everyone-
cannot talk to a Christian about anything. They say, no, that's it.
as much she's involved with her and she's
Everybody also says there's only
so
one
it's not
God.
necessary you have to be Sikh or Hindu.
It
can be anything.
Every religion wants to say
नहीं
that
वैसे
one
मैं
God.
कह रही हूँ
I don't know, they say one God, they say our God.
When I came from India,
नहीं मतलब कि जैसे
Utah,
Oh, and you were saying,
one lady said,
oh,
who are you? I said, I'm
ਅਗਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ
India.
ਇੱਥੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ
If you are not Christian, you can be
same thing.
Agle hafte dinner hai na.
Thank you. And I still owe
Yeah,
to
come
bring
here.
What is the basic difference
अच्छी
between,
ऐसी गल कर रहे
okay,
थे।
I know the difference between the Christianity, Buddhism,
विजिट कराऊंगी मैं आपका ही
and
करूंगी, फोन नहीं आया
Hinduism.
Yeah.
What is the difference between Jainism and Buddhism?
नहीं, I'll
Basic difference.
definitely.
Just one line or one word.
Yeah.
और अब भी करो।
ठीक है जी. Thank you so much.
Okay, जी।
And also Hinduism and Sikhism. I'm not very clear about it.
Jainism, Buddhism में तो isn't it?
Well, they don't eat meat or whatever, they cover their
नहीं
faces.
वो तो नहीं. तो बुद्धिस्ट कौन से मीट खाते हैं, but they don't say don't eat it.
In Buddhism, at least they get whatever outside they eat it.
Right, पर खाते थोड़ी नहीं है वो लोग भी. पर वो
I
रोक
know-
नहीं डालते हैं. They don't.
You know that Jainism came from Mahavira, Buddhism came from Gautam,
I know that.
right?
I also know Jainism came from Buddhism too.
Okay. No, that is Zenism. That's not Jainism.
I'm talking the one with Mahavira.
That's the Jainism. Jain. The
That
other
was
is
separate.
Zen.
Yeah.
Zenism
Buddhism.
Oh, shit.
came offshoot of Buddhism.
Yes.
Zen. आप जैनिज्म को सोच रहे हो कि बुद्धिज्म. महावीरा वाला was completely separate. और जो zen है ना,
Now, Mahavira believed in suppressing the sensuality to achieve. He would punish the body to kill the sensuality. Whereas no other religion has gone after the senses and advocated suppression. But he believed and he achieved that if you keep on feeding the senses, it will never end. So the only way is to kill the senses. Don't feed them. Keep on denying the senses as long as it does not stop asking for it. Don't feed the body food, don't wear the clothes, don't do this. And he stretched it through the path of suppression, which is what you now see, that they don't even shave. They pull the hair rather than shaving the hair, because they believe that cutting the hair is violence. So if you're going to take the hair out, then punish yourself equally. So they take a hair at a time and pull it. Buddhism was pure Jnana Marg. Just keep on going, looking at the thought, deeper and deeper and deeper. Look so much deep that the thought disappears.
Buddha also did the same thing.
Yeah, that's
punished
Buddha.
himself,
That's good.
and then he realized that he was
Yeah,
getting
he came
nowhere.
back
Yeah,
completely anti
he nearly
punishing
died,
the body.
you know.
He became completely anti punishing the body. Zenism got away from Buddhism, that you do not have to be ascetic to go into something, go into a thought. You can go into an act so completely that only the act remains and the actor dies. That deviation came from Lao Tse, which is, if you're drinking the tea, just drink the tea. So
But
drinking
even
the tea, I should
Buddha
not be.
talked about it.
Hmm?
Buddha also talked about it, like
Aware of
eating
whatever you're
orange,
doing.
then you're just
Yeah,
eating.
but that, you see, his awareness came after first going through the thought process. Whereas Lao Tse came back and said, you brooming the kitchen?
But so there is magic in that if you get
That's
it.
your meditation. Just
It's
broom
true.
the kitchen.
Just meditate.
If you are a cook, just cook.
That's what she does all day. Cook and brooms.
Oh, she takes the broom and just swings it.
जो भी रास्ते में आए.
जो भी रास्ते में आ गया.
I don't stay in our path.
Now, and the other thing that you're asking about, Sikhism,
And Hinduism, yeah. What's
And
the biggest difference?
the biggest difference is the Sikhism would not allow
Idol worship.
the presence of any other deity other than one creator.
That's the only difference we have.
नहीं पर हिंदुइज्म में भी तो कितने डिफरेंट हैं. आर्य समाज ही नहीं रखते, idols and all that.
No, that's okay. The basic.
That's why polytheism came.
See, and then this is
Hinduism is much closer to the Greek,
just, see, and then
Arya Samaji
Egyptian,
also have
Greeks.
Bhagwan.
नहीं, but ऐसे from your point of view you don't, मतलब from the Sikhism point of view you don't have idols, but when I was growing up,
No,
I'm
I'm-
seeing Gurdwara में Guru Nanak ji.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about
tasveer.
idol. I am
You know,
talking.
so then in my mind I equate it to the same.
Yeah,
thing.
no, I'm not going out of the idol or this
But
But
because
he's saying you don't have 350 million
नहीं नहीं नहीं, not the
in Sikhism there will always be one God, one Guru, one Granth.
See, I grew up as a Hindu, sort of. You know, like my parents never restricted me for anything. Church भी चले जाओ, जहाँ मर्जी चले जाओ, and I used to go to the church also. But this is the message that I always got from my parents, that there is only one God, whether you go any religion, doesn't matter. That's what I got out of Hinduism.
किरण जी
As growing
मुश्किल
up.
पता क्या आती है? जैसे आपने कहा ना, there's only one God.
मतलब कि there's one power, that's it.
No, stay with that thought. यहाँ पे एक और बैठा होगा भगवान कृष्ण, और वहाँ एक बैठा होगा भगवान राम.
नहीं नहीं, कोई भी नाम
वो
ले.
कहेगा भगवान
Doesn't
गणेश,
matter.
कोई कहेगा भगवान हनुमान, कोई कहेगा भगवान जगन्नाथ.
No, but then this is the message I always got. कि चाहे आप हनुमान को समझ लो कि ये this is your path, whatever. Like my mother never stopped me from going to the church, and the reason I went to the church because I went to convent schools and they had a chapel on the school campus. She never said ki don't go or don't go. It didn't matter to her. And it just, you know how children get influenced कि nuns जा रही हैं, and you got a lot of solace out of it because it was always a peaceful environment inside, very nice, quiet. So what I'm trying to say, to me, this is what I learned from my parents, कि whether you worship Ram or you don't put a murti there, doesn't matter. It's your consciousness or whatever, and it doesn't matter whether you're Christian or Hindu.
That's exactly.
But that
how I
wasn't,
grew
that
up
isn't the
same way.
universal.
Oh, this is how I grew up, and that's why
No, I
got
understand your
no
point.
qualms
I
in
grew up
going
the
to
same way.
But if you go to India
I went
today,
to the chapel all the time because I went to convent.
अब मेरे को कोई गुरुद्वारे बुलाता है तो it is the same respect I have I don't differentiate, oh, I am Hindu, I am going to the Gurdwara. Even I have friends who are like Sikhs. They're not very happy to come to the temple or to the thing.
And that's the
it
point.
doesn't bother me.
That's the point.
That's their
Just because
what
you
they want to do.
you
that's their
you have
business.
developed that level,
I
that's
don't
not where
care.
the masses are.
No, that's true. Yeah. Majority
There's
won't
three
do.
of us here.
Majority will not do
of
that.
us- People will not
It
do
doesn't matter to me कि नहीं आना.
Because also
Like
I
there are
think,
Christian people. When I came to this country, especially first, we were in Wichita, Kansas, and people. I mean, maybe Wichita has changed now. We've been left it for 27 years now, but I was student teaching, and there was this Christian older woman who was going to retire. I thought she liked me because you know how these people always up top, they don't show their feelings that easily. And then I got a job offer. She was like shocked. Ki, how the heck I got a job offer? And
Yeah, I just
you know, and then it started. She would talk about. So there were two things. First of all, she was prejudiced, and second of all, she was a religious fanatic. Because she would tell me if I don't believe in Christ, I'm not going to get salvation. And it never bothered me. I was like 22 years old, and I told her that's quite all right because I had such a firm belief that it doesn't matter what she's saying. And let her believe because that's okay for her to believe that way. I never told her, nahi, tujhe kya malum? You know, nothing. And then I was shocked when I realized that how prejudiced she was. That why should I be a teacher in this country? You know, like it was like a shock to her.
Yeah. And what I would see, Bhai Saab's question was about the fundamental difference between two thinking processes. Now, what you are talking about is the exception to the rule.
The exception nahi, because if you read the scriptures too, it says that you know just maybe ये अवतार हैं
किरण
या
जी,
मूर्तियां
हिंदुस्तान में ऐसे कितने लोगों को जानते हो?
नहीं पर वो तो फिर वो गलत वो उन्होंने ले लिया तो हम क्या
तो
करें?
वही तो हिंदुइज्म है ना फिर.
I was
Buddhism
brought up
नहीं
the
है.
same way as
फिर
she's
बात
saying.
सुनो, अगर ये बात होती तो इतने लोग मर जाते इतने 2 फुट जगह के लिए.
नहीं अब कुछ people that doesn't mean Hinduism is that's their people's
नहीं, पर वही तो
interpretation.
रिप्रेजेंट करने वाले हैं ना थॉट प्रोसेस को.
I know, but sometimes society misunderstands.
जैसे अभी
A Muslim जो है,
अब जैसे
Muhammad
बाइबल
didn't do
है
anything
या
wrong.
कुरान है वो
What
थोड़ी
Muslims are
खराब
doing?
है.
No, I'm telling you
same
that
thing, जैसे भाई
the
साहब
fact that the
mass
Hinduism
and public-
allowed
They don't agree with that, Kiran.
the multiple
We are all
deities,
balls for that.
नहीं but that doesn't mean
Even though-
Hinduism that makes it's just
Everybody.
like Quran is not
what
that.
what
Yeah, not
Kiran
only
is saying,
Hindus,
yeah.
even though it represents the same power,
In the general society.
would not be tolerated in
Called
Sikhism.
not wrong.
but that I don't understand.
See अब जैसे we
I
can't say कि
don't know why they do it.
नहीं जैसे
Okay? Sikhism would not allow you to say, I'm going to put another book and call it a Granth also.
नहीं but that doesn't mean Guru
And
Nanak's
I'm going
message was
to...
that.
Huh?
That doesn't mean कि गुरु नानक जी की जो मैसेज थी वो ये थी. अब वो ये क्या लोग इंटरप्रेट करते हैं उनकी मर्जी.
नहीं, गुरु नानक की ही तो फिलॉसफी बात बता रहा ना. One
उन्होंने-
God,
I am sure he believed the same
just
way
one
because
God
it was a
and
real
no
life
other
story.
deities. They are all part of the creation.
Right.
And nothing else required for worshipping. No other capability. So Sikhs would not worship anything else other than the word.
That's okay.
So whereas in Hinduism, you can have your personal God.
Right,
No, no.
but there
I
also
thought
the
that's
interpretation is कि since this energy is present everywhere, it doesn't matter अगर आप पत्थर से ही you feel connection, it's all right, go for it as long as
Kirandi,
it's
I'm
going
not
on
talking
the
about
path.
Pathar. I'm not. I don't think you are hearing me.
I should have not asked this question.
I'm
I
not.
read that.
I'm not talking of the idol. I'm talking of creating an image of God into your own liking. God may to you is Ganesh, and to somebody is Krishna, to somebody is Rama, to somebody is Hanuman, to somebody is something else. Yes, God is in everything, no question about it. That's why somebody's worshipping a chua. Okay, now, of course, rat has the same energy, but it does not mean that the rat is worth worshipping. Hinduism tolerates that behavior, whereas Sikhism doesn't. That's all I'm saying. Sikhism would not tolerate a personal God. It will ask you to create a personal relationship with the same God.
But the essence of Sikhism is that there is one energy.
That's
and
it.
that is the essence of every religion. That's what
I
I'm
don't
trying
think
to
so.
say.
And the Hindu deities is
Because if that was the case, there will be no fight left.
No, because we are crazy.
But around the earth,
A Quran
in
is not
3,000
bad, sir.
years, in 3,000 years of documented history, there have been 5,000 wars, all in the name of religion.
वही तो मैं कह रही because हम लोग
So how can
we
you
interpret
say,
it differently.
if there is one God, now
And I'm also
Quran
prejudiced. It's not
says
I'm not.
that if you kill in the name of God or die in the name of God, they both are okay.
Quran doesn't say that.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
It's misunderstood completely.
well, I haven't read the Persian version of it, but I can tell you the translation, the English translation that I have read.
personal
It's
God.
not,
It's an
yeah.
expression of
Yes.
because
If you talk to, if you listen to Osama bin
That's what
Laden,
I read. So
he's saying, I am doing God's work.
Thinking
Well, because
differently.
yeah, but
he has been conditioned from
And
the
I am taking care of the
rain or
infidels.
blood means the beauty.
And I am killing the devil and America is
You
dead.
cannot define
I know, but
God.
So-
they're-
So you can express
They're conditioned that they are
Right.
born,
And then
they're
some
told to do
people
these things.
understand this
And
Yeah.
they don't know more
Yeah.
than that. That's
Yeah, no, and I'm not disagreeing.
Like even in
I'm not condoning them. I'm not
Classroom
justifying
you
them.
have some
I'm
people
trying to
who
answer the
don't,
question that you raised.
Yeah.
you know,
That the fundamental theosophy,
Yes.
theosophical
Yeah.
difference
Yeah.
And that is how the essence is.
between these basic religions is the path that was taken. Okay. Now, if we come pure at mystical level, let's forget all the things.
Osho put it beautifully. He says the Christ was beautiful. The Muhammad was beautiful. It's the Christian who made all the mess. It is the
That's not
Now, here is the mystical
not
difference
that I
between
follow
them.
it or I fully
Okay.
comply with it. You know what I'm saying?
That human
I
body
have my
form.
built-in prejudices
Okay.
too.
The mystical reason. Forget about the ritualistic.
Yeah, forget about that.
Okay, let me tell you the mystical reason. Vedanta, from where the Hinduism came, took the water as an element, to which using the water as a transcendence element, because 5 elements in the human body: air, fire, water, earth,
space.
and space, or Akash. So Vedanta took the water element and started practicing watching the water and developing the qualities of the water to achieve the highest. That's why all of the temples and all of the meditations were done on the bank of a flowing river, because they were watching the water and tried to develop that insight. Islam took
Earth.
the earth as the element.
Which one?
Earth. That's why every 3 hours you sit on the earth and bow to the earth 5 times minimum. 5 times a day, and every time 5 times. So at least 25 times you are reminding yourself you are dust. Become like dust. In other words, become completely at peace with everything. Become egoless. Okay. Now, Buddha used Akash, Dhyan, thought process. Completely.
space?
Yeah, space. Okay. Sikhism used Vayu, air. That's why the word Shabad, the emphasis on the word.
For air?
Aya, on air.
What did Buddha use?
Space.
Oh.
become like empty like space.
But we've heard